Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matthew, back with another episode of Watty's channel. Back in the toy room for another one of my favorite series, and that is the comparable LJN figures. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at the Rhythm and Blues figures. Now, with the Greg Valentine, I only have one custom, and I do have a few customs for the Honky Tonk Man, so it's not going to be an extra long video or anything, but I think it'll be a fun video nonetheless. So, per usual, I always enjoy starting off with the original LJN figures and talk about some of the things I like about them, some of their features, and then I move on to the customs, and of course, I'll move on to the next figure from there. So, the first figure we're going to look at is the original Series 2 Greg the Hammer Valentine figure. Now, when I did my favorite, what was it, LJN competition, I think Greg Valentine made it to like series, probably the fifth round or so, and then later on I did my top 10 favorite LJNs, and he came out at number 5 on that list. Now, obviously, fighting pose for me has always been the most important feature of an action figure, and then from there we start looking at colors and designs. Like King Kong Bundy, the figure is very simple. Simply black trunks with black boots. Very easy figure to customize. Like this figure has a lot of paint loss on the back. You know, it's fairly simple to repair that if need be. This is my personal one. I just took this off the shelf. I'm not going to be touching that. Not a huge deal for me. So, the Greg Valentine figure, 1986, and then about 4 years later with the Barry Windham and Galoob figures. Same fighting pose, which obviously makes it one of the greatest action figures for fighting purposes. Now, Greg Valentine, this is kind of like the Paul Orndorff figure, excessively tall, especially when you put him up against like Andre the Giant. I think this one is a shade taller than the Andre the Giant figures. So it does take up quite a amount of space on your shelf. You know, you got to kind of maneuver just a bit. You can't really stand up straight up. You kind of like have to bend him over a little bit. Greg Valentine, phenomenal figure. Absolutely love this. This is, as I mentioned in my last video, an elite figure. Any LJN figure that comes in the top 10 do have elite status in my eyes. Design-wise, playability-wise, absolute perfection. And, Greg Valentine, he's not someone that's, a top-tier, wrestler. Yeah, he tagged with Bruce Beefcake to become tag team champions. The Dream Team, two remarkable figureheads in my life. Of course, later on, I knew Brutus Beefcake as the Barber. When I started following wrestling, late 80s, early 90s. Greg Valentine, great wrestler, definitely made his competition look good. One of the battles, I want to say it was 1984, watching him battle Hulk Hogan decked out in all white. That's the first time I've ever seen Hogan in anything other than yellow and red, so it was kind of weird. But it was definitely an interesting matchup, and to go along with an absolutely fantastic LJN original. As I mentioned, I only do have one custom Greg Valentine figure, and it meshes well with this particular video because I am calling this video Rhythm and Blues, and that is exactly what the Greg Valentine figure is the custom Rhythm and Blues version. Now, back in the heyday of Hasbro, they did have a version just like this, a prototype, that was supposed to be distributed at some point, either I forget if it was Honky Tonk Man left or they disbanded. No, I think that's what it was. They disbanded. They were no longer tag team partners. So this figure was scrapped, and the prototype I heard sold for like $42,000. I love Hasbro, but come on. I mean, there is a dollar limit to pay towards some figures. A little 4-inch piece of plastic, 40 grand. I know what I said before. Value is what someone is willing to pay for it, but I do have a custom Hasbro that looks identical to this on card, and what they did was just take a bubble. I'm just looking at it right now. I should have brought the card down. I didn't. So they do have a Rhythm and Blues Greg Valentine on card, and then they took the regular bubble from the Series 5 Greg Valentine Hasbro, and it looks pretty good. And just kind of give you a little 360 of the Rhythm and Blues Greg Valentine figure. Greg Valentine, so used to seeing him with blonde hair. When he came out with his black hair, you know, some people should not dye their hair. They just look terrible. Absolutely love the figure, though. Absolute beauty. And the fact that they were actually able, not just draw this on, but actually create an actual jacket to put over the figure. I don't know who the artist... I know I bought this from Stinger GQ, but the artist actually created this. Amazing talent. I just wish I knew who it was. So that is going to bring us up to the Honky Tonk original 1988 Series 5 LJN figure. Now, per usual, with a lot of the Series 5 figures, some of them, like Ted DiBiase with black paint or black rubber, or the Honky Tonk Man with blue rubber. A lot of times when you look at these figures, especially in the face and hands, you always come across like this bluish purple appearance when the rubber or it kind of bleeds through the skin. Sometimes it gets onto the actual clothing, but it's usually the face and hands that get the brunt of it. And of course, you do have the original accessory for LJN. I still say that this is the best accessory for these particular figures. Same as Hasbro, Honky Tonk Man with the guitar, best accessory for Hasbro, best accessory for the LJN figures. And again, do a full 360. So one of the complaints a lot of fans have with these particular figures, when you guys have guys like Coco Beware, like the $1 Million Man, like the Honky Tonk Man, I don't know, Harley Race, I guess. What they would like to see is essentially a figure like this. $1 Million Man in his fighting gear, essentially. I don't care. I could care less that they're clothed. I mean, to me, this is just a beautiful Elvis replica. So I absolutely love the fact that he has clothes. He looks great. I mean, would I covet a figure like this as much if all he had was boots and trunks? Probably not. So when I see a clothed figure, I'm perfectly fine with that. Overall display, beautiful. Not a horrible fighting pose. So I do have a couple of these. I would never use them in Rumble or anything, so I really can't say how well they play. I said Don Morocco looked like he was a fun figure to work with, and it was terrible. Not the worst, but definitely not a top tier figure like I thought it would be. But I think this one would be really fun. So that is the original Honky Tonk Man figure, Series 5. This one, I'm going to keep this one on the display case, or on the display stand. So when I did the my favorite LJN competition, when I first started this channel, at one point I honestly believed that this figure was going to win the entire thing. The way that I kind of harped on the figure, round after round, it was really hard for me to see any other figure surpassing this one. As I talked about the Raider Nation, Justin, amazing seller. If you ever get the opportunity to go on eBay, highly recommend his site. Kenny Lester, who is the artist who designs the custom LJNs for the Raider Nation. This is, I believe, the first or second, I think it's the first one I ever purchased from the Raider Nation, and it is the custom Honky Tonk Man figure. This one, I think, was eventually eliminated in round 5 by the custom Ultimate Warrior figure from Wrestling Rider. But, I mean, the Wrestling Rider Ultimate Warrior, again, my favorite version, had the Hulk Hogan pose. So it had the playability, it had the excellent colors, had the beautiful boots, hair. So it was really tough to put these two side by side. Either figure could have won that. And to see this one, lose out after 5 rounds, it was disappointing. This one was a huge hit in my videos, at least to me it was. And of course, like many of my figures, on Etsy, a man named David Garland, 4 Left 3D Creations, does these amazing stands for a lot of the LJN figures. And absolute beauties. And I love this one in particular, the Honky Tonk Man. I guess it's a Chevrolet, if I'm not mistaken. So it got a nice little grill for the front of a car type of deal. Beautiful display stand. And it meshes so well with the actual figure. And because it's a special stand and a special figure, I think these two work well as opposed to using the original Honky Tonk Man figure. And when you're looking at that on the shelf, an elite figure, definitely. So these last two figures both came from Stinger GQ on eBay. So this first one, I think this was the second one I acquired from him, and when I pulled it off the rack right now, I'm kind of disappointed at what happened to it. And what I mean is this. I don't know if you guys got a good visual here, but the paint job on the face and hands, it's starting to look terrible. So when you actually hold the figure, you could feel the extra stickiness. So whoever did this, obviously not the most elite figure I've ever had. It looked really great when I bought it, and even when it came in, it was a fantastic figure. Great colors. But for whatever reason, as the weeks and months have passed, it looks like a lot of the coloring has started to bleed through the hands and face. And it's not like the normal, blue or purplish type color that you find on an original. This one kind of has like a rainbow type color on his skin. Really weird. But if you take that out of the equation, you don't focus on, the paint loss or the paint bleeds or anything like that. And just look at the actual design of the overall figure. It's not bad at all. I mean, very reminiscent with the original, of course. They just basically swap out black for blue or blue for black. They change out the little high tops or whatever you call that on the bottom of the pants. So, very minor changes, but those minor changes create a completely different figure, a unique figure, and a fantastic one. So, yeah, I have no idea what this stuff is on his hands and stuff. It's probably what it is exactly that, the purple or the blue rubber basically bleeding through the overall paint job. And that sucks because this was a beautiful figure. It still is a good figure, just that right there kind of kills it overall. This is the first one I got from Stinger GQ, and at first, when I first looked at it, I thought it had the ability to give the Raider Nation version run for its money, but I still prefer Raider Nation overall. And the final Honky Tonk Man figure comes in blue and gold, and it is just an absolute beauty. And when you kind of compare the two figures, it's really hard to pick which one you enjoy more because they're both absolutely phenomenal. This one, no, I only had two Honky Tonk Mans. I had the original and I had the Raider Nation version. So when I did my favorite LJN tournament at the beginning of the channel, when I created the channel, the black version obviously overtook the blue one. Either way, when I was doing that tournament, I was putting like figures against each other, and then the winner of that battle, whether it was one original versus one custom, or one original versus 5 customs, whichever one of those figures I thought was the best, I moved up to the next round. I didn't look at it and say, well, I got 2 Honky Tonk Man figures. Let's say Honky Tonk was next to DiBiase, and another Honky Tonk was next to Tito Santana, and say, oh, well, these 2 figures are better than those 2 figures. They're both moving next. No, I didn't do that. But I did move them to the next rounds, and this was an absolute beauty. I absolutely love this one. And the way that they sparkle and glitter along the sides of the pants, around the belt, and the design on the overall jacket, this is an incredibly gorgeous piece. Again, this is another elite figure in my opinion. So if I ever had to go back, I've talked about in the past, if I ever to go back and redo my favorite LJN tournament, like many people that have done that type of video in the past, or those type of videos in the past, the whole thought process was to find out, which one they enjoyed the most. since I've already done it, I've already basically decided who my winner would be. If I did go back and do that, it wouldn't be for me. It would basically be for the fans, someone to for the viewers to sit back and get a kick each matchup per video. So I had done 5 matchups in each video. I figure if I had to go back and if I were to go back and redo that, it would probably be it would have to be somewhere between 8 to 12 matchups per video, because I had about 130 or so figures when I first started back in March, and I would probably, if I had to estimate, I would probably say the number is closer to 200 by now, if not more. But I'd say about 200 seems about right. And yeah, if we did 5 matchups per video, we're taking it from 26 videos that took me to do the first time to 50 videos plus perhaps, and I don't want to do that. I'm okay keeping it around 30 videos. Again, I've talked about this in the past videos, but I don't know if I will ever do that. But if I ever did decide to do it, it would have to be a viewer request. I mean, that's the only way I could entertain that idea. Otherwise, if I did it, it would be years down the road. That way it's basically brand new and fresh in new people's minds. So, Honky Tonk Man, Greg Valentine, Rhythm and Blues. Next video, I'm trying to look at... I'm thinking about doing the Jesse Ventura video. I'm not going to acquire any custom Jesse Ventura figures. I mean, like I said, the only Ventura figures I get that are customized, they transform him into Hulk Hogan, because the 2 figures they look like they could mesh pretty well together. It's gonna be a quick video. I only have about 3 of those figures: the original Ventura plus the 2 custom Hogans. I might add another figure that only has like 1 or 2 figures, just to make the video last a little bit longer. And I'll do that right now. Once I end this video, I'll create another one, and that way I'll have those videos ready in queue for upload when the day comes. So right now we are looking at, let's see, today is Tuesday, September 13th. That means I will have this video uploaded tomorrow, and the next video will probably be uploaded probably Saturday, or maybe Sunday at the latest. Alright, so since the last video, I did get not 1 but 2 new wrestling rings. So getting the LJN rings was absolutely phenomenal. Was absolutely huge for me. Getting them with the original box, incredible. Highly expensive, so I am willing to sell one of them. If anyone's interested, just reach out to me. Let me know what you're asking for, or I could always let you know what I'd be willing to sell it for. I'm okay keeping one and selling the other, but I'm not like dying to sell it. So if I hold on to it for years and years to come, I'm cool with that too. The other thing, I won a couple Big John Stud LJN figures on card. So I was bidding on one, put in a max bid, and as the hours were starting to count down, that number just kept skyrocketing. There was no doubt in my mind I was going to be outbid. So I did find another carded figure, Big John Stud, from a Canadian seller, and did a buy it now, purchased that thing up, and oddly enough, they ran my bid up to my max bid on the first one, so I ended up winning that one too. And those LJN figures on card, most of them sell for $400+. So the one I got from the Canadian seller, it has a yellowing of the bubble, which sucks, but it does have what I wanted most, and that was a card backing with the original 5. So I want to keep that one. I am willing to sell the other Big John Stud. The bubble is crisp, clear, but it has a ton of other wrestlers on the back, not the original 5. So to me, that doesn't hold as much value. But I'm still willing to let it go if anyone's interested. Just to, again, reach out. Let me know if, and I'm pretty sure I'll give you a deal. More than likely, I'll probably only ask for what I paid for it. I won't go anything over. All right. Yeah, so that's what's going on for now. I will come back shortly with the next video, and I'm hoping I can make 2 more videos tonight. I don't want to, stop, because Generally, I like having those 5 or 6 videos in queue ready to go. And all right, I want to shut up, guys. I talk too much. Thank you so much for checking in for another video, guys. I really appreciate you, and I will talk to you in the comments. Tongue tied. Goodbye, everyone.